Now, just to introduce this probably not well-known organism and to compare it with AMF. AMF are typically known for their extensive hyphal growth on roots of plants. So this makes that the volume of roots actually increases, and so the plant has more access to nutrients and water. And inside the root, it forms vesicles and arbuscules, what you can see here on the picture. Now, Serendipita is quite different in a way that it hardly produces any hyphal structures, and it actually invests in the formation of these chlamydospores. However, this is not the only difference, because also taxonomically, these are two quite distinct groups. The AMF belong to the Glomeromycota, while Serendipita is a basidiomycete. What are other differences? Well, that the Serendipita, not a lot of isolates are available worldwide. Actually, before the work of Jolien, only 2 isolates were available. That was a Serendipita indica and a Serendipita williamsi. While AMF, of course, are widely used and huge collections exist throughout the world. Now, Serendipita has some really intriguing characteristics, as it has no host specificity, while AMF often have, and especially colonization of Brassicaceae is not possible by AMF. In addition, it is known that especially AMF perform well under poorer conditions. For example, when soil phosphorus is low or not highly available, these AMF tend to perform better than under regular conditions. And finally, mycorrhiza are obligate biotrophs. This means that you cannot grow them on an extended culture. And for Serendipita, you can. And of course, this has many advantages. That's why Jolien decided on that point to continue with the Serendipita. Now, in total, she started from 51 isolates, and she was able to identify 7 different groups. You see here a witness of each of these 7 groups with the indica and the williamsi as reference strains. So these are the 2 strains known from literature. In the rows, you can see the different media on which she grew her Serendipita isolates. And then through genetic analysis, she saw that actually those strains numbered here were closely related to the Serendipita williamsi. And she did a lot more characterization. For example, she really investigated at the cellular level how the dolichoric septa, which are typical for basidiomycetes, how they were structured and how they varied between all these different isolates. Then we come to, of course, it's a very intriguing organism, but then she wondered, does it have bioactivity? And the first really small-scale experiment she did was just in the lab with the model plant Arabidopsis, in which she grew it on an actinic medium. And here on the black line, you have the control. Here on the black line, you can see it here very faintly. The fungus was inoculated. And if we zoom in, you can clearly see that both the above ground biomass and the root architecture were greatly influenced by the Serendipita. You see much more side roots being formed compared to the control. But in addition, what is also important to notice here, to make the link again with the AMF, is that it was obvious that those Serendipita strains could colonize the Brassicaceae species, which is of course very interesting, knowing that many cover crops and green manure crops belong to that group of plants. Now, in addition, he also did a very nice experiment on what happens when you have here at the left side the fungus, not in direct contact with the plant. How will the plant react? And here you see the result of that experiment, the control, non-inoculated medium, and here medium inoculated with the Serendipita. And here the effects were even more clear. Here is another experimental setup, but the same actually can be seen here. You can see here a non-inoculated plate distant from the plants. Here an inoculated plate also distant from the plants. And if we zoom in again, but we don't have to zoom in actually to see the bioactivity, the control plants much smaller than the Serendipita volatile exposed plants. And if you look at this was really an enormous bioactivity with an increase in biomass of more than 400% for all of her strains tested. This was a really nice result.